Hey everybody, and welcome back to FSi DFS. I'm McKinley412. Looking at the 6-game main slate. A small slate here, probably due to, well, one, travel, but two, it is the opening night for NFL. So all eyes are going to be on that game in America. I must be realistic here. So if you're looking for some NFL DFS advice, though, come hang out with us here at FSI. We got daily, weekly, monthly packages. Pretty affordable too, so come check that out. Everything is down in the description below. So looking at this slate though, 6 games, and it's a very intriguing slate in terms of how do you want to build. Weather seems pretty good. I do check covers.com to see kind of where things stand at the moment. I could not get my words out there. I am recording this the night before, so things can change as we get on throughout overnight and into the day tomorrow, but it does look like maybe some decent winds blowing in at Wrigley. If so, that is a huge deal because the Cubs, they're one of the hottest offenses in baseball at this point in time. They're facing off against one of the weakest pitchers on the entire slate, who's not pitching well at all. So it's going to be really intriguing and really important to be paying attention to that wind in Wrigley. So Castillo, right up at the top, 11K. I think this is just too pricey for him. Fine pitcher. We know what he's capable of. We know what his ceiling can be in terms of strikeouts and everything. I just think given the matchup, given the price tag, and given the Atlanta bats and the Chicago bats, I think it's going to be really, really hard to jam in Castillo into your lineups. Especially if you're looking for those optimal builds. Like GPP, there are enough cheap plays on this slate. Like the Yankees have a lot of cheap guys. The Angels, they're decimated by injuries, so all of their guys are super cheap, and they're in a pretty decent matchup as well, facing against a weak pitcher. So it's possible, but I think optimally, I think that there's better use of salary than going with Castillo. Feels weird, but I just think the price tag is just out of control. Max Fried, right below him. I like it a whole lot better. Now, Strider just got tossed around against St. Louis. Not sure what happened there, but Max Fried, I think he's going to be my top play in terms of pitching. I like how he's $1,400 cheaper than Castillo. He brings just as much upside in terms of strikeout rate than Castillo does. And honestly, I think he's in a better matchup. I know St. Louis just tagged Atlanta for 11 strikeouts. Ooh, nice crack of thunder there. 11 strikeouts, 11 runs. But regardless, I'm not paying too much attention to that. I do think that Fried can shut down this St. Louis offense. Rodriguez and Canning, both of them are fine, both in fine matchups. Again, Cleveland, they don't strike out a whole lot as a team. The Yankees have a bit more strikeouts in their lineup. And both of these guys, they've honestly been doing pretty well as of lately. In the past month or so, their strikeout rates have been serviceable. Take out this game against Houston, but their strikeout rates, very serviceable, fine for their price tag and everything. So looking up at the top, I do have Fried, number 1. Castillo, if you take away the salary, he's number 2. I do think that the salary is going to be a big issue, especially because, it's Atlanta and Chicago and then everybody else. But there are a lot of cheap options where you can jam them in there. Well, we got a thunderstorm rolling in here. Rodriguez, Canning, they're fine. Into the mid-tier, Pepiot, he's the only guy that I have any interest in. Garrett on the other side, I just don't have any interest in him going up against the Dodgers. Rago, this guy here, he's been solid. 3 starts so far this season. Nothing flashy, nothing it's going to break the slate and take down GPPs and all that kind of stuff. But he's serviceable, fine price tag, fine matchup. I think I like him in the mid-tier here. In the cheap, Assad and Rodon, those are the only 2 guys that I would have interest in. Everybody else is a complete fade for me. Rodon, he has gotten his pitch count back up. If you recall, he was out for most of the season. They've kind of been working him back in. They got injured, so he's back up to pitching 90-plus pitches or so. He's got a little bit of a home run issue. As you can see here, he's lining up 1 or 2. He seems every single start. Facing off against Detroit, they don't have a whole lot of power bats. A lot of their power bats that they do have, it's those left-handed guys. So I do think in the lefty-lefty matchup, I think he's going to do just fine. Don't mind him at 7.5K. Then Assad for Chicago. Facing off against Arizona, this guy's been fantastic in his past 2 starts. 15 innings pitched, just 1 earned run, 14 strikeouts. Am I expecting that this time around again? Not really, but I think that he's definitely serviceable. So between him and Rodon, I do have him ranked slightly ahead of Rodon, but if you want to flip-flop them, totally would understand that. Again, everybody else is a fade or no interest. Now, the bats. Let's get to the bats. It's Atlanta. It's Chicago. The issue that you're going to face, and you probably already know it by now, is jamming these bats in is going to be nigh impossible. Especially if you want to go up higher at pitcher. So like Bellinger, like he is blistering hot. He's been one of the hotter bats in baseball. But also guys who have been extremely hot have been, let me go search the Cubs here first. It's going to be a lot easier for me. Suzuki, 3.7K. This is the kind of like where the one value is going to be. But over the course of the past like 5 days, he has been an absolute monster. He's hitting the ball amazingly well. Multiple RBIs every single game, but it's because the Cubs are getting on base every single game. So absolutely love him. Talkman, it's going to be a lefty-righty matchup. It remains to be seen where they're going to put him. If he is in the leadoff spot, you do have to be paying attention to this, is his last start, or yesterday when he was in the leadoff spot, he went one at bat, and then they pulled him. And then they threw in it was Morel and somebody else. I can't remember. Wisdom? I can't remember. So that was concerning that they were willing to just pull him after one at bat. No other issues. But I mean, you could go with Hap if you do want to go in that direction. He's been hitting the ball very well as well. So like, whoop, hit something. Bellinger, Hap, Suzuki. It's going to get pricey real quick. And that especially when you want to go with the Atlanta guys. Anybody is in play against Wainwright here. Now, Acuna, he got a hit in his last at-bat here tonight, but he was on an 0 for 15 stretch. 6.8K. Now, Acuna, he can turn it around. It's baseball. It's going to happen. You're going to go through these slumps. Wainwright, he's going to be the slump buster, essentially. I think that, Acuna is going to be in play here for sure. But I do really like Ozuna. Ozuna's been smashing the ball. You can see he's averaging almost 13 DK points in his past 10. A bunch of home runs littered in there. Anybody on Atlanta is going to be viable. But here, we'll just go to pitchers. We'll throw in Fried, and then we'll throw in a cheap guy. There you go. 3.4K. It's possible. It is. But if you want to throw in a guy like Riley or some other Cub or Atlanta bat, you're quickly realizing that it's almost not possible at all. So where is the value? There's going to be a lot of value in the Angels, first and foremost. Like, especially if Ohtani's out, like these guys are just dirt cheap at this point in time, and they have a whole lot of lefties in their lineup. Quantrill, he's really been struggling almost as much as any pitcher in baseball. And what Cleveland has been doing is, like, when he's been struggling and letting like 4, 5, 6, 7 earned runs, they're letting him just kind of stay in the game, and he's still getting up to 80, 90 pitches. You can see he really started. I mean, it was Atlanta, Chicago, Baltimore. I get that. But even the White Sox were able to tag him for 6 earned runs. Like, he's really been struggling here over the past month or so, and they're still letting him go 80, 90 pitches and keeping him in there. So do that excuse me. I do think that Atlanta, the Angels can provide quite a bit of salary relief. So Shanuel, he could be one guy that could be providing quite a bit of relief for you. Even Moniak at 4K, he's fine as well. Hop, they just have so many lefties in their lineup. People out Rengifo, he's a switch hitter. Moustakas. So, but I'd kind of start with these guys here, and let's see if you jam in both of those guys. Then, man, do you want to go? If the Cubs, say the wind is blowing big in Wrigley, probably not going to have as much interest in the Cubs. So maybe I turn it more towards Atlanta. Going up against Wainwright. So you want to put he takes over that first baseman spot. Oh, just kind of toying around with builds here. But it's going to be difficult in the long run here. So GPP, I do think that Seattle is going to be one of my favorite GPP plays going up against when really... it's not a bullpen game. Like, Little can go pretty deep into the games. He has been going 70-plus pitches in his starts. So you can kind of see 70-plus pitches, 80-plus pitches even more so lately. But he's got a home run issue as well, a little bit of control issues. In Seattle, I mean, they're still fighting for this AL West top spot. So they're certainly going to be a team with motivation as we get to the end of the season. Like, that's something we do have to start paying attention to. As we, get through the weeks here. Sorry, the rain just started, and yeah. But yeah, anyway, I think on Seattle is going to be in play, and you can see that they are markedly cheaper than the teams like Atlanta and Chicago. So even like toying around with builds, just because of how expensive they are and how like there's not really any pitcher below 7.3K that I have much interest in. I'd have a whole lot of interest in Assad, especially if the wind is going to be blowing in Wrigley. But nobody cheaper than 7.3K that's like serviceable and having to pay up here, it's going to be tough. So Atlanta might be more of a GPP. But yeah, I really like Seattle, like the Dodgers. But going into the cheap, the Yankees. Dominguez, I mean, is one of the top prospects in the entire league, and he is not disappointed at all. I think he's got 3 home runs in his first 5 games. He's been doing very well, so jam him in there. Nice cheap guy, and you can quickly see like there's also a lot of outfielders that I like on this slate, so it's going to be a little bit tough to jam them all in that you want. Torres, he's been another guy who's been lights out, just absolutely raking. 14 DK points he's been averaging over the past 10 games. I don't know if you guys can hear that rain, but whew. But yeah, Torres, Dominguez. Torres isn't as cheap as Dominguez is. The Angels, we just talked about how they're just super cheap overall, even Detroit and Cleveland. But I would just kind of shy away from Cleveland. Really, I'm going to be jamming in as much Atlanta as I possibly can because Wainwright, we've seen it fall off, and it's just not good at this point in time. So I'm going to jam in as much Atlanta as I can. I'm going to be paying attention big to the weather in Wrigley and seeing if those are strong winds blowing in or if they're just like left to right or out. And then GPP, here you go. So sorry, it's kind of all over on that video. It kind of felt like I was kind of all over the place with the builds and everything, but I just wanted to show you like it's going to be tough to jam certain guys in, but it's possible, especially if you kind of open up with Assad and Rodon here as your 2 pitchers. 4.4K, you can jam in those Cubs guys, Atlanta guys if you really want. Pay attention to Wrigley. Yeah, so thanks for watching. Good luck in your contest. Good luck in your NFL season as that starts up. And I'm going to stop here before more thunder knocks out and lightning knock out the power. So good luck, and we'll see you tomorrow.